one was what you mentioned, that one you put in a conservative number of 10%. I don't remember which one it was.
For excess cost.
Is that, so you have it in there at that number instead of the concern that she has at the 25 excess cost. Right. So it's not in the.
I guess his question is the same number in what we have. Is their number in what we have?
Like I said, the excess cost is advanced.
One other thing that last night we had the same meeting with the Board of Selectmen. We had the chairman of the town pension commission. He's not an actuary; he's just a citizen who's appointed this thing. They were talking about the fact that the pension, the town pension, I think they're increasing their budget by $100,000. But we all came to the conclusion that that's underestimating the pension. And I'm going to ask Bob this question, but I think it applies to the Board of Education also. Just clarify for me that the number that is in the Selectmen's town book is not the same as the number that they have in here for pension.
We have a town pension, and then someone that we sustain that pension, roughly 77.
So this number on, and I don't, it doesn't make difference exactly what the number is, but on page 77, where you have your benefits, that number is their share of that pension. So that tells me that the number in the, because we talked about last night that the number had to be $750,000. If you talk about the Selectmen side, it's 511, and on the Board of Education side, it's 300 and something. Is that coming to the 750, or are they still short the? No, and I realize that, but so the total pension budget then is the two numbers, the 511 and the 300 from there. So that's 750.
What I'm saying is the actuarial what saying how much we divide up the town
Everybody do me a favor, check yourself out, please.
So Bob, I think let me take a step. So last night we determined that we probably would be wise to increase what we saw in the town by 250. Is there an additional amount on Board of Ed that we would be wise to increase? Okay.
So it's their number too. So
it's their number. I think that's what.
Get it out there.
And as a postscript, we congratulated the pension committee chairman for only being down 20%, which was, I think, $5 million lost out of pension fund. That's sort of an indication of the year it's been and the year that we're facing now.
We're happy we're not. Questions? Other questions?
Yeah. Janet, you mentioned $1,059,000 possibly coming under the stimulus package.
Yes.
And that's for the IDEA grant.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
And you also mentioned that it might supplant current funding that we're getting. Do we have any idea? I'll tell you why I'm asking. Board of Selectmen took out about $650,000 out of their roads and bridges budget because they feel that they're going to get some stimulus package.
Mm-hmm.
Have we reduced anything in our budget here in the Ed side in anticipation of any stimulus money that might be coming to us?
No, because the only thing in the stimulus package, see, originally the House bill that was set up was going to give us some money for buildings, $150,000, and it was about $1.3 million in IDEA. when it finally passed, there was nothing in there for building, and the 1.3 became 1.05. In a legislative breakfast in Danbury, where one of our state legislators spoke, he said, do not count on that because it could be at the state level used to supplant the amount of money that you would be getting in IDEA, which comes to us in excess cost. So we can't count on that.
So you fully funded the special ed portion of this budget.
Minus 10%.
So, and if you were to get, and have it not spent, you're going to get $1 million for earmarked for special ed.
Mm-hmm.
What happens then? Does their full funding double for the town? Does that go Board of Ed? What happens then?
Different grants end up in the town or the Board of Ed.
This cannot be used for anything other than special education.
Yeah, but if you fully fund special ed and you get $1 million,
Oh,
then what happens to that $1 million?
could there be a individual who is funded by the Board of Ed budget that services special education, but we have to fund it? Could that be put into that grant? Yes.
So you have some flexibility. I mean, you have some flexibility, but I'm hearing that it must stay within the Board of Education budget.
Special in the special education budget. And I don't want to talk about supplant or supplement publicly.
When will we know for sure?
I have a meeting March 17th, which we supposedly are going to be getting some information on the stimulus package.
So that's not for sure.
Yes.
We won't know for
I
sure.
won't know. I hope I'll know something.
You will know for sure.
The message I got today was the state mandated meeting is March 17th to learn about the stimulus package, and that's the word I have so far.
Maybe a more pointed question, maybe this is for the Board of Education, is should something like that happen, would the Board of Education consider, as long as it didn't change what you had requested, offsetting a reduction of whatever amount of money that you receive for keeping your budget after you requested it?
This money belongs for special ed purposes of what need to be done, because the money that you fully funded right now does not have to be used for special ed purposes.
So for example,
And that money could come back, and this could supplant the budget line item for that. I think that's what you're saying.
Manner in which the grant is
I'm
given.
going to do everybody a favor here and just interrupt it. Maybe we can talk offline about this. I understand. I think in general, when it comes to a year like this, given what people are requesting, if there were something in a budget, if you had $10 in a line item for a budget and you were to receive $10 in a line item as a grant from whatever the federal stimulus that you could get, the generic question would be, would the Board of Selectmen, the Board of Education consider swapping that, leaving you level where you were? You don't have to answer. That's the gist of the question. I understand there's an issue. Any other questions on this? Because I'd like to go back to. Do you have one?
I have other questions.
Okay. Why don't we jump back to the insurance thing? Because I know you're going to have questions about that. Or don't you?
No, I don't.
I do.
Okay, no.
Could one of the things that we run into every year is this issue of insurance. And I understand you put in a number and we go month to month and we look at experience, and that's what changes that number that you end up putting in. The closer we get, the more fine-tuned it is. My experience in the last number of years is that first it sounds like those numbers are coming down, because I remember 4 or 5 years ago it was like 10 and 12% that we were actually having to add. It was post 9/11, it was astronomical. But that number does seem to come down. Okay, and I think characterizing it as a risk, although not wholly inaccurate, there certainly is a very definitive multi-year track record where that number does come down. And interestingly enough, and this is my question to you about the 5%,